So I'm kind of like the unpastor. I'm not super cool. I don't have a big church with a really cool worship band, right? I'm just kind of a normal dude. In fact, I even work a pest control job to provide for my family. Just kind of a normal guy. But I had a really, really big idea that I think is gonna help a lot of people. Come with me. So I was working one day at my pest control job, and it was just a normal day. I was getting up my ladder, getting into an attic to remove a dead rat for one of my clients, and I received a phone call from one of my friends. We would call each other from time to time while working our pest control jobs, and we would talk about God, and it was like the highlight of our day, right? Because pest control can kind of be monotonous after a while, of course. But nonetheless, so we would talk about God. But this time was different. When he called me, I was removing the rat. He asked me a question that really changed my life and how I began to process a lot of scripture. He asked me this question. So here's the question. It was pretty interesting. He said, "Dusty, how would you fill in the blank?" And so, of course, he read Ephesians chapter 5. "But sexual immorality and all impurity or covetousness must not even be named among you, as is proper among the saints. Let there be no filthiness or foolish talk or crude joking, which are out of place. But instead," and he paused for a minute before he finished the verse, and he says, "Dusty, how would you fill in the blank?" And of course, I'm like, I'm a pastor. I was like, this seems like a pretty simple question. I got this. I said, of course I know how this is answered. I said, it's gonna give the spirit-empowered behaviors that are antithetical to the sinful ones given, right? I mean, that's just how it has to be answered. It was, I thought, really simple. I thought pretty straightforward. Besides, as a pastor, I've answered harder questions, right? But this time, I was surprised by what he said when he said, no. That's how I thought it would have been answered also. He said, look at what it says instead. And so he read it again, "But sexual immorality and all impurity or covetousness must not even be named among you, as is proper among the saints. Let there be, no filthiness or foolish talk, nor crude joking, which are out of place, but instead let there be thanksgiving." Let there be thanksgiving. That had my mind reeling. I realized that there is huge theological implication for that little passage. How incredible, ready? Check this out. How incredible it is to know that the practice of thanksgiving or thankfulness is diametrically opposed to our flesh. Selah. That's wild. It's diametrically opposed to our flesh. What does that mean? That means that we directly combat our sinful nature, the inherent depravity in which we live, right? That thing called the common human condition that we all hate so much, with the practice of thankfulness. How incredible to know that something as simple as looking for opportunity to give God praise is the practice by which we can fight the flesh and try to defeat the tug, if you will, the tug that we face day in and day out of our flesh that tries to keep us away from walking in the Spirit. And it was that idea, it was that concept, that theological framework that really launched my mind into orbit and has truly helped me through one of the most difficult seasons of my life. I'm a normal person. I haven't read any books out there that really do a lot to unpack that concept. So I decided to write a book called Militant Thankfulness, an essential practice to experiencing a full spiritual life. And my goal with this book is not really to do a lot of it's not to impress people. It's really just to show that normal people like me, like you, we can do something as simple as making the conscious and intentional efforts of practicing thankfulness each and every day will really help us dive into the full riches of a spiritual life that God had intended for his people. So, all that being said, I hope that if and when you get my book, I hope that it really does help you. I believe that this will help you just as much as it's helped me. It's pulled me out of a really dark place. That's it. I just wanted to share that with you. Hopefully that was a blessing, and I'll see you guys around, maybe.